we are starting the new year with an absolute zinger, I would say, Hannah, which I have already predicted will be one of the best shows of the year. You've probably seen a lot about it on telly and in the press already. It's a new BBC drama called Waiting for the Out. And here's a clip.
Welcome to prison.
First day. I wanted to imagine two fictional worlds. First is called the just world.
You are choosing to go into that place.
In here, I don't think about being a good person.
And the other, the luck world.
Yeah, that world is imaginary.
But I do feel bad about not being a good man.
So this is available as a box set, the entire thing, on the BBC iPlayer. It's based on a true story, a memoir called The Life Inside by this chap called Andy West, who you might have seen on BBC Breakfast talking about it. And it's been adapted by Dennis Kelly, who, I mean, he's a pretty multi-talented guy. Not only did he co-create the brilliant sitcom Pulling, which I always bang on about with Sharon Horgan, he also wrote Utopia. He also wrote the book for Matilda the Musical. He's pretty versatile. Anyway, he's adapted this, and it stars Josh Finnan, who was in The Responder. He plays Dan, who is a young academic, and he's basically based on Andy West, really. And his family life has been blighted by jail time. So his dad's been in jail, his brother's been in jail, his uncle's been in jail, and he's at a kind of crossroads in his life, and he decides to take a job teaching philosophy in prison. Yes, that's right. Meanwhile, he's got these kind of OCD style problems. He really obsesses about, have I turned the gas off? I mean, you know, we all do that to some extent, but he's literally like taking pictures of his gas rings, and he can't leave the house. He keeps seeing visions of his father, who is played by Gerard Kearns, who was one of the kids in Shameless. You may remember. He's very frightening in this, and we see some flashbacks to Dan's childhood. So you've got Stephen White from Bergerac plays his older brother Lee, who wasn't a drug addict. He's been inside, but he's really turned his life around, and he's a new dad. Then you're also going to see the likes of Samantha Spiro from Sex Education. You're going to see Phil Daniels from EastEnders, and more importantly, Quadrophenia and Park Life as his uncle. And yes, it is fascinating. I think the way adolescence sparked conversations about sort of toxic masculinity and what online content was doing to young boys. This is going to make people take a second look, I think, at kind of the forgotten world of prison, because we don't really know what goes on inside prisons, do we? And do people even care, you could ask. So they're fascinating, these classes where he's talking about these famous philosophers and their ideas, and the idea of, like, is everything down to chance or luck or, you know, or fate or fascinating stuff. Is it a good world, or is it a sort of, or does the universe not care? It's really interesting. Finnan is great. It's superbly adapted, and I think it is showing us a world. Yes, we've seen lots of prison dramas, but nothing like this. And I think it's in episode 2. The two brothers have a night out, which is kind of, there's an incident involving a recovering addict, which sort of sends them on a completely different night out to the one they were expecting. And it's the most realistic portrayal, I think, of what addiction does to people and what dealing drugs does to people and what trying to help addicts does to people. It's just, what I've seen of it has been exceptional. So I highly recommend that you watch this. It is very, very good. What did you think, Hannah?
I think your word fascinating probably sums up. I think for me, and we've talked about this before, the idea of kind of what goes on in prison, I mean, it just strikes fear in me. The goody two-shoes that I am, the idea of being anywhere near it or anything, it just creeps me out. It really does. And you're right, you know, how many people actually care what goes on there? You know, presumably if someone's done some abhorrent crime, then who cares how they're treated, right? But that isn't the reality in terms we work hopefully towards human rights and rehabilitating people as we should be, because these people, we want them to be rehabilitated and come back out on the streets and be, decent humans. So, and of course there will be people that will be wrongly charged as well. I'm digressing. My point is that you get to see a little bit behind the curtain, don't you, in this, but also that toxic masculinity that you talk about, and also how you're shaped by your upbringing. What's happened to you? What are your experiences? Do we parent how we've been parented? Do we do the antithesis of that because we knew it was wrong, or because we knew it was right, we tried to recreate it? You're shaped by your surroundings, and I think this calls all of that into question and puts it massively under a spotlight, which is why it's so intriguing, so fascinating, and frankly, you're not going to leave your sofa.